From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Matt. It's International Podcasting Day as we're recording this. Our colleague Noel is on an adventure, but will be returning very soon.
Safe travels, Noel. They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal, Fagan. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Now, unlike some other operations, we welcome everyone. Humans, shout out to you. We are big fans. Matt, while this species of primate, this superape, hasn't really been around for a long time in the grand scheme of things, our pals, the Homo sapiens, have already fundamentally altered planet Earth in ways we won't fully comprehend for tens of thousands of years. Fellow conspiracy realists, we are coming to you live and direct from the age of the Anthropocene. There's a lot on the line. This is a high-stakes episode, and, the clock's ticking. Pollution, war, environmental degradation could all spell doom for our humble protagonist, the human.
That's right. There are enemies without and enemies within, according to a set of speeches we just listened to this morning.
Right. And I think it'll occur in a lot of therapy sessions if it hasn't already.
I knocked one out this morning.
Right. And if you, like us, share a similar sphere of interest, you've probably been intensely involved with speculation, right? At this point, especially about the future of the United States. It's bigger than hip hop. It's bigger than a country. It's bigger than a religion. It's the idea of humanity in general. In tonight's episode, let's assume the worst happens. One way or another, hell or high water, hook or by crook, the human, as we know it, is gone. So what comes next? What, if anything, will rise to take its place?
Data centers.
There will come soft rains. But first, a word from our sponsors. Here are the facts. All right, we're gonna kick a weird pitch to you folks. It's a brief origin story of humanity, which has interested Dylan and Matt and Noel and myself for an extraordinary and egregious amount of time. According to the current scientific consensus, modern humans, like humans, the folks who play on TikTok or make wars with each other right now, they've only been around for about 200,000 years, which seems like a very short amount of time, right?
It does seem like a short amount of time, especially considering brand new news that came out. Gosh, I think it was a week ago, essentially, that we're recording this, that a skull, a human skull, a Homo sapien skull was discovered that was 500,000 years younger than we thought humans were around, which potentially could rewrite all of human history and even that scientific consensus that we're currently at, right? When we say that, right, that's where we are now. But as more and more stuff emerges, then maybe humans have been around for a lot longer.
Right. Let's get into that part, because we already know, or at least the boffins, the eggheads tell us, that human ancestry overall dates back circa 6 million years. And that's when a humble, really ambitious primate, both humble and ambitious, the Sahelanthropus, began. It was the first thing to say, hey, you know what? Crawling around on all fours is cool, but what if I just kicked a wheelie forever and did bipedalism, walking on two legs, on the back two? How crazy would it be if they decided to go on the front two?
Hey, we still do that sometimes, but that's more for funsies or showing off. But it makes a lot of sense, right? A thing figures out, oh, if I only use 2 feet to walk, I can use these other 2 to hold stuff or to grab things, move stuff. Pretty smart. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, nice one, guys. And after this, after figuring out, hey, we can just pop a wheelie and walk on our back legs, the thing we call Homo sapiens doesn't really hit the stage again in current scientific consensus until about 5 more million years have passed.
Jeez, man. Really think about that.
Like 5 million? There's somebody listening in the audience now who possesses $6 million in liquid cash, and they're like, yeah, I can see it. Most people don't comprehend what a million means, much less 5 of those. So over this stretch of time, this very long stretch of time, multiple different species of humans evolved and went extinct. They encountered each other. They interbred. And that's why, as we learned in a previous episode, people today, many of us in the audience, have lingering traces of Neanderthal or Denisovan heritage in our DNA. That's also, by the way, current humans still haven't figured out how many other mixtapes of humanity there were. There's still some mystery Kaiser Soze DNA out there. There are ghosts inside you.
Oh, yeah. When everything we're learning about how much your gut biome has to do with who you are and what you are and even how you think and what thinking is. Oh, man. Just all the things that we've picked up over all of those millions of years. And before that, all of the millions and billions of years that life was making those small changes, right? That ends up becoming the thing that's listening to this right now.
Mm-hmm. And the things that are creating it. One side note that I think we need to emphasize is that the more we learn about the ancient past, as you were saying, Matt, the further we keep pushing the timeline of scientific consensus. The Denisovan, for instance, is a fairly recent discovery. Researchers still believe there are more ancient mixtapes of humanity that have yet to be discovered, and sometimes religion and politics can interfere with the scientific endeavors here because, consider the real life hobbits, the Homo floresiensis. We're just going to call them hobbits out of Indonesia, extinct, very small, and due to some spiritual and religious concerns, there's a hot debate about whether or not they should qualify as human.
Yeah. So we've got all these discoveries, right? And these are only some of the discoveries. And there is much more to be found because we've only, dug in a certain number of places over a certain amount of time. And there's all kinds of things that I think it's inevitable that we will discover if humanity gets to continue for a long enough time.
Yeah, go to hustle, guys. They still haven't found my old city under the waves because it's very difficult for humans to spend a lot of time underwater.
Talk about Atlantis, bro.
Okay, Dylan, keep it in, but we're moving on. So we'll keep it in. It is absolutely possible. It's thrilling that we know, even as we are recording today on September 30th, 2025, like right now, as you are hearing this, a person may dig in an undug place, right? And they may find that skull. They may find that finger bone. They may find a relic of old that absolutely upends everything we think we know about humanity in the ancient past. And then if we flip that script and we look toward the future, we see that science also agrees. No matter what the coming millennia may bring, humanity has left several long-lasting marks on the natural world. Perhaps not the best, to be honest. Maybe not the best ones. Maybe not the stuff civilization wants to be known for.
Oh, yeah.
But, you don't get to do your own speech at your funeral, right? So
some of us do. Some people record those videos. Oh, that would be so...
I don't think it counts. That's pre-taped.
Well, eventually it'll be an AI version of the person that says, thank you for coming to my funeral.
I told you,
so
man.
Excited for you to be here.
you can also keep the conversation going with me. Go to www.illuminationglobalunlimited.org. We're a charity.
Dash.
/ So, okay, let's do it this way. On a positive note, right? Humans aren't all bad. Humans are self-obsessed for sure, and that's a biological imperative. But humanity has broken a ton of records, right? Advancing understanding of the planet upon which it lives, advancing the understanding of science to this unprecedented level of sophistication. It's something that has never been witnessed before in any other living organism, again, that we know of so far.
Yes.
Yeah, that caveat at the end is doing a lot of work.
Well, it's at least, yeah. We only have evidence of ourselves being able to do these things, right? But as we stated, we've only been around again. Well, if you're to believe the findings of this skull Yunxian 2, that is about 1 million years old and is Homo sapien,
and so it pushes back the timeline like 500,000 years.
But even then, right? There's still a lot of time between Earth being a viable planet for life and that point, right? A lot of time.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to wrap your head around until you see what those graphics. You can find a graphic right now that shows the moment Earth is formed, and then the moment that life is potentially able to spring forth, and then where we are, and just the amount of time. We don't know that something else didn't come along and flourish the way we did, but then over the course of millions of years, all evidence of that would just go away.
Yeah, that's why I'm obsessed still with the Silurian hypothesis. You probably still are. It's an excellent thought experiment because time is such a constant, unrelenting thing. We have at the top of our episode, we do these little quotes for each other, and one of them, of course, is Ozymandias. There's no poem more appropriate. Matt, can you give us a quote in you're so great with voices. Can you give us a quote in like a banger Hollywood blockbuster voice from this poem?
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And thank you, Matt. This poem, as any fellow nerds know, this poem is an observation of how important and fancy and sophisticated humanity's top dogs can see themselves. And it's irony, right? It's high classical irony, because the rest of the poem, if you read it, it's about a guy who stumbles upon the ruins of a statue, and he can just read the remnants of this plaque that says, "I'm the."
Yeah, I'm the. Oh wait. Oh yeah, you're not here anymore, and neither is any of your stuff. But okay, sure.
I mean, nice hustle on the plaque.
Hey, you started from the bottom, and
you're back at the bottom,
you're
but
gone.
you had a journey. It was very Joseph Campbell. I mean, right now, humanity is verging on the cusp of colonizing space, going out into the ink. This means it's possible humanity may be the first large life form to successfully franchise, to put it in capitalistic terms, to expand its population to other nearby asteroids, moons, and planets. And I get so excited about this, Matt. I'm a space nerd, but I know there's a lot of work to be done. There are tons of obstacles. You know what? I feel like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber saying, "So you're saying there's a chance."
Yeah. Think of all the resources. All the capital, the uncaptured capital out there. Think of all the ad space. Think of the data centers, man.
Yeah, Peter Thiel looks out into the horizon of the heavens and says, "We could put some billboards up there."
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, we're just everybody is now attempting to weaponize space as much as possible. X-37B. Oh, I think we kind of know what you've been doing up there now. All right. You know, if I feel the same way you do, Ben, as in that is the great potential of humanity to be able to do that.
Of any life form. Yeah.
But but you know, that's what we got to work with. It's just us. And that's what we could be doing. That's what we might do. Yeah. But it's looking more and more every day. That's why we're making this episode. Like it might not happen.
It's a ticking clock, right? Yeah. How insane is this? How thrilling is it that there is a genuine plausibility of space exploration, right? Not counting, the mold or bacteria or whatever ancient astronaut created life on Earth in the first place. And I got to say, Matt, the more I think about it over these many years, I love everything about the panspermia theory except for the name.
Yeah, remember when we said that to Dan Harmon's face in the LA studio, and he just made fun of us for saying panspermia?
He roasted us so hard. Good dude, though. Good dude. Philosophical, meditative. He would dig this, I think. He would dig this exploration. But, the idea of any earthbound species, like a kid from the hood cosmically, making it to space, it's like winning the lottery millions of times in a row. The fact that civilization is even at this point now, and if it does end up happening, if space exploration does become a thing, it will, without caveat, be one of the most stunning wins in the history of the known universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big if, but,
doesn't it feel like maybe we have a bit more evolving to do before we can, I feel very parental in some ways about this. Like before we can thrust ourselves at any other place to rebuild the things we're doing here.
Get a learner's permit before you go on the interstate.
Yeah. Well, and yes, that, but also we're like hoisting a virus currently in our current state. It'd be like hoisting viruses out to infect other planets. Because of our division and all this other, all the stuff that we're dealing with right now, that we can't get along in all these ways and we can't just love each other. We just, I don't know, it just feels like a dangerous proposition for any other potential life that we might encounter.
There's a track record, right? There is a precedent. Everything is precedent, I Ching. It reminds me of a conversation I was having with the very smart person who works at NASA still, despite the cuts.
The one? I'm just joking.
Yeah, the last rocket person, the last rocket man. No, talking with this person, brilliant mind, and she said maybe humanity shouldn't go to space. And I said, that's weird because of your day job. And in response, dude, she sent me the best metaphor for human expansion into space, which was a clip of a virus expanding throughout a circulatory system. And I think that's what you're kind of describing here. Is human expansion good for the universe?
Right now, there's a clear answer, and it's no. But the hope is that it will be something that is worth spreading, right? And
that,
maybe the hard fact is maybe it's not humanity as we know it. Maybe that thing is
exactly
not where it's at.
We've talked about it in the past, right? And we're going to see that in this episode, ship of Theseus argument, right? Does your journey to the stars change you so much that you are no longer you when you achieve that goal? It's a deep question. It's one I know we both love to noodle over. And sometimes, honestly, I will just go check out Dylan's Instagram and listen to some cool, chill acoustic music just to de-radicalize this entity here for a second. We do have to say it is a big if right now about the question of franchising, expanding to space, because humans have a lot of cons. pretty much like any other animal, humans, it's a race against time. We got all these technological breakthroughs that amaze and terrify everybody tuning in tonight. Science is advancing in every possible field. We're still finding random skulls, but humans are also battling enormous consequences for their actions and for the actions of their ancestors. I mean, radioactive waste? Come on. Who's going to figure that one out?
Yeah.
Who's front in line for that?
I mean, that's actual physical impact on the earth and how it functions and the systems that are necessary for the life that humans, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be anti-human. God, we take all of it for granted and we alter it so much to the point where it's not going to be helpful for us or anything else. We kind of do that. And if we go to another planet, we're going to have to terraform that crap, probably.
Terrorform.
There you go.
Okay, wait, no, we just stumbled upon the next IGU blockbuster. Well, it'll probably be on the Sci-Fi Channel late at night, but it's called Terrorform. And it's like help me out here, Matt. It's
a bunch of these weird looking creatures, attacking a planet. And setting up these weird structures to inject a bunch of nitrogen and oxygen into this place that runs on other gases. Mm-hmm. And all the other creatures are like, oh no, what the heck? Get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And the trailer opens with "In a World." And you see one of the little alien kids very excited because there's like what they think is a meteor shower or a comet. But it's the first of the human-made things landing to change the...
They're excited because they think gods are landing. They think, something incredible is happening, amazing, and they just show up and then they, asphyxiate everyone on the planet with oxygen.
A lighter version of this, we could do a dry run. Let's get a sick-ass drone show over North Sentinel Island. You know what I mean? Use the Chinese tech to make it look like a human face that is speaking and says 15% off washable sofas.
It's very blue beam of you, Ben.
Yeah, you're like micro blue beaming them.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Oh, buddy. With that, I think it's time to take a little break. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. Don't go away.
You came back! Thanks so much, folks. Let's get into it. We also know pollution is murdering ecosystems. Humanity's clearly the culprit. There's a horrific decline in wildlife populations since just in the last few decades. We're talking about a loss of upwards of 70%.
The insects that we talked about on Strange News not long ago. The diversity of insects and how crazy a sharp drop-off that is.
Yeah. And now, it's one of those generational milestones here in the United States. There are humans alive now who have never driven through a place where a bunch of bugs smacked on their windshield. There are simply fewer of those animals. And of course, the list goes on. Microplastics, shout out to you guys. They're in microplastics. Like fungi now, like synthetic fungi, they are some of the most well-traveled substances on the planet. You can go into the depths of the Arctic ice and you'll find some plastic.
Yeah, and you'll find it in most of the fish and the mammals that are in the oceans.
Your balls, the fetus, you'll find it everywhere. Humans have also terraformed the earth with farming operations, the industrial age, all leading to the destruction of critical biomes that create clean air and water.
And we're rolling back all the regulations to protect those things so that we can build data centers as fast as we possibly can and soak up all the water.
I remember a conversation we had years ago, or as we often say off air, and I loved when you made this point. We've been kind of having the same long conversation for almost 20 years now. So it's tough for us sometimes, folks, to remember what is or is not on the air. But I do remember this phase we had where we were both super heated up about television specials like Life After People.
That's like the Blue Planet days. And yes, Life After People was astonishing because it was such a sobering look at what happens to all these structures that I think in our minds, at least in my mind, before watching that, you just imagine they're going to be there forever. Like New York City on Manhattan is going to look like that forever. And,
sure.
There might be some new buildings created. There might be a giant dome they put over it at some point.
They might bring back blimps,
sure.
Dirigibles. That was cool.
But most of that stuff's going to stick around because this is humanity. This is our legacy. But then you see just how short of a time span it would take for all of that stuff to crumble and be eaten by all of the life around it.
Tut. Ozymandias once again. Yeah, especially with New York's water table, right? Human-made structures will decay much more rapidly than humans like to think because it's hurtful.
Yeah.
You work really hard on something and now it doesn't matter.
Vines everywhere? Were you kidding me?
The rats have evolved thumbs, and they're in a culture war with the descendants of the raccoons.
And they're all talking. They won't shut up.
And they've got different gods. It's the same story. Anyway, we're absolutely nailing it. By the way, check out Life After People. It's bittersweet. It's beautiful. It's very educational, without constant maintenance. Most solid-seeming structures will fall victim to instability, natural disaster, rot, and the relentless march of time. And part of that is because, as we discussed in our explorations of ancient lost cities, especially in South America, part of this is because Earth itself is a gigantic superorganism. Not to get all Gaia, woo-wooey, or spiritual about it, just practically it is its own living thing, and we're all things, human and non, we are all just little pieces. We're all little mitochondria or organelles of this gigantic cell. The Earth hungers and it eats everything.
That's right. It is. It's one big digestive process once things begin to break down. And that's everything. That's why the stone structures like the Mount Rushmore episode that we just did, that's why those are so important. Because it really does take erosion and a very specific long timeline stuff to take place for those things to break down. That's why you still have the Sphinx, well, at least to what's left of it. That's why you still have the pyramids and a lot of these things, the Stonehenge and stone structures. But that's why all the metal and glass disappeared from the last civilization.
There we go. No. Keep going.
I want to believe.
I want to believe too. Also, fun, terrifying fact or a sad fact, if you check out the show that we do with our pal Noel, Ridiculous History, we've been doing this series of wonders of the ancient world, which were relatively arbitrary in who got in and who got out of that list. But the only one remaining, the only one standing now would be the Great Pyramids. And that's because, just as you described, Matt, they're built of stone. They used to look way cooler. They were painted. People hung out. It was like going to a festival. And now we've just got the triangle that didn't fall down.
Man, can't even sacrifice people up there anymore.
It's a bummer, just the permits alone. We'll write to accounting about it. I'd love to see that pitch. Good news, though. Good news. For any of our fellow non-humans, the end of humanity is not going to be the end of the world. Probably not, depending on how they go out. It's not going to be the end of all life on Earth because evolution is this unceasing, tenacious, brutal editor. It's always pitching new ideas. Most of its new ideas don't work out, and they're kind of dumb because they're random. And the ones that do take can change the course of the future. From everything we know about the past, it is safe to say that after the fall of humanity, something else will inevitably, statistically rise in its absence. And we're saying this because we have more than a single sample size here. As you are listening, if you're listening in 2025, our civilization is amid the sixth great extinction. There were 5 before, and they absolutely rocked the pillars of the world. And in every case, so far, during those mass extinction events, something came up, you know. The big dogs got popped, and the little ones, the humble, or the meek who inherited the earth, they evolved, right? And ultimately became the things that would have hunted them in the past. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Will this thing, though, Matt, whatever it may be, will it reach the same levels of pre-lapsarian human civilization, pre-fall civilization?
Have we reached it from the last one? I'm sorry, I keep going back.
My
here.
God,
I'm not gonna stop. Because you just have to imagine, if we are here in this point now, and there has been this massive expanse of time, you have to at least keep yourself open to the possibility that this isn't the first time this not exact set of circumstances has occurred, but something similar enough, the way we're about to speculate about what comes after us, right?
Yeah, it would be, that's a tremendous point, because it would be so bizarrely self-absorbed to assume the possibility doesn't exist, because it makes you more comfortable. It makes you feel more well-read or something. No, nobody knows. Name one person who counted to 1 million. Yeah. Like right now, just count, start counting.
All right, we'll see you in, it's going to be a minute.
It's going to be 1 million.
But yeah, is it more or less likely that we are the first things to experience this moment of building something large enough and complex enough that we believe we can transfer our genius to other places, you know? Like, Are we the first ever? Maybe.
What I'm hearing is someone arguing against space travel by saying we have the Fermi paradox here at home. You know what I mean? I hear you. I mean, if something arises, would it even be close enough to humanity on many levels to understand that something else existed before? Right? This flickering candle in the dark doesn't know that there were other candles before it, right?
Would it find remnants of us and view us and our skeletons, the few that they're able to uncover, the same way we look at dinosaurs? And we think, that was obviously some kind of, primitive reptilian species. And, look at the claw structure. And, look at how their tails were formed. And is it the Nasarema thing, but applied to species?
Absolutely. Consider all the accidents and intervening variables that could occur. I know we have to move on, but just to spin it out, what if future extraterrestrials, descendants of humans or something, they lose the knowledge, they have a quote unquote dark age, and they only find skeletons that don't have a left arm. And they think, okay, these 3-limbed creatures once ruled the earth. They won't know differently. Anyway, we don't have enough information, current civilization, to definitively say what will happen after the fall of humanity. But everything we do know about history, about mass extinctions, we're in the middle of the 6th one here in the age of the Anthropocene. We have some things that can help us make guesses. So what exactly happens? What comes after humanity? First, we'll do some ads. Here's where it gets crazy. This goes in so many directions. I propose we break down a few basics and then get to thought experimentation. Nothing here, nothing that follows here has been conclusively proven. Abandon all certainty, ye who enter here. We've got a sample size 1. After all, we're talking about our main guys, the humans. If anything here does prove correct, to prove that any of this is factual, that would inherently mean humans are already long gone.
Yes.
So we're guessing.
We're guessing. We're going to have some pretty extensive models, I would say, coming up pretty soon, thanks to Anthropic and all those folks over there, NVIDIA and Google and Facebook, Meta. They're gonna crunch the numbers, and they're gonna figure out exactly what humans were like once we're gone.
and you know, full disclosure, folks, this is somewhat of a maudlin, uncertain time for a lot of us on the earth, and us on the show personally, not to speak for everybody. But I remember in darker evenings, just the realization that the world is bigger than an individual. So someone's world is ending somewhere every day, and humanity can end in any number of ways. In preparation for this and some future episodes, re-listen to our buddy Josh's excellent series on the end of the world, which came after Matt, you and I were working on various videos about how the world could end. And it was sure weird.
Well, yeah, and we'd have
to take a lunch break after that.
Oh, yeah. That was just spoiler alert. Back in the day, Ben and I used to be on the same, I don't know what you would call that, the vertical team making stuff. And we were working on that show together when it was called something else. And Ben, you took it, and you are the executive producer of that show, aren't you?
I would say I'm a friend of Josh.
Okay, well, it's incredible. Yeah. And if you haven't listened to it, listen to it. And it harkens back to discussions we used to have even earlier than that with Marshall Brain. He wrote a whole book called the Doomsday Book, where he lays out all of these things we're about to talk about that Josh talks about. And Josh talked to these incredible experts that you can hear interviews with. But it is a sobering thing to really look at them all laid out, because there's a lot of things that could happen.
It's going to make you feel increasingly ambivalent about day-to-day chores and tasks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do I need to make my bed, or is the gamma ray burst coming this afternoon?
Yeah. Do I really have to put these dishes away, or is the asteroid already on its way?
Right. Yeah. Let me check the sun for any mass ejections before I write this email.
I have not stopped checking space weather every day because of this. Because of coronal mass ejections.
So what we're saying is, again, it's winning the lottery millions of times in a row. At any given moment, something bad could happen from space that spells the end of civilization. And this is not to say it's statistically inevitable, I guess, because we don't have infinite time. At some point, everybody's favorite star, this dude I hate, the sun, is going to explode, right? It has always been a volatile father. And it will one day expand, right, in several billion years, and it will ruin and wreck the Goldilocks zone of the planet on which all living things we know of reside.
Shoot, it seems like maybe we need to get on this whole space exploration thing.
Yeah. You know what we should do? Go to space. I'm not going to make my bed. I'm not doing the dishes. Forget this email. I got to go to space. So we know that the circumstances of extinction for humanity play a big, big role in what would come after. If there is, for instance, an absolute gobsmacker of an asteroid that obliterates the planet, that's very different from some kind of Stephen King-esque scenario where humanity falls to a disease, but the rest of the world continues, you know? The disappearance of humanity, it doesn't really reset evolution, though. It just opens the game for new players. It's not like species that humans have driven to extinction are going to suddenly return, right? They're gone. They're very gone unless humans resurrect them. Shout out to the mammoth, the dodo. What are some other things we should bring back? Oh, shout out to Jurassic Park. Sorry.
Yeah, the Utah Raptors, which I thought were Velociraptors for a long time, but no, they were Utah Raptors.
So, I mean, over time, though, the good news is even if those things can't be brought back, something will evolve to fulfill their ecological niche, that empty parking space, or whatever new niches exist. The sad thing, and I thought of you guys because I know we all love animals. The sad thing is that a lot of domesticated species would also probably go extinct without human supervision.
Yeah. But in a real world situation where it's a disease or something that wipes out humanity, because, you know, another thing that existential threats is that whole gain of function research that's happening right now in labs all around the world. If something like that happens, you would have pockets of humanity that would be able to survive, even if you had 99% die off, right?
Right. The bunkers, the strongholds, the preppers, the billionaires.
I'm thinking mostly the billionaires that show up with their money doesn't really do shit anymore, but, you know, they're
shout
alive.
Out New Zealand, shout out Hawaii, and shout out the people who work at these compounds, and shout out to the moment where they realize money is a fictive thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's scary. But you know, at the same time, I do think there would be a version of humanity that would survive almost in every one of these scenarios, but only for at least a time, like a bit, you know?
That's a question. Yeah. Like, I agree with you on the idea of pockets of survival, relic populations, we would call them.
Yep. And
I also agree with you on the idea of a limited time window. You know, this would be where Noel would reference Fallout, for instance, right? Fallout in the bunker story is great. Also check out, did you ever see, what was it? It's not Chasing
Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy, one of the best characters ever created. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking of Logan's Run. And I agree with you. I liked Horizon. We know that wild animals that already kind of teamed up with humans, the animals that have learned to live in close human settlements and urban environments, they're going to have a field day at the beginning. Raccoons, coyote, pigeons, corvids, rats, foxes, badgers even. What else? Oh, cockroaches.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're not going to have a bad day when humanity is gone.
Is there a scenario where a cockroach has a bad day? Well, I guess, yeah. But yeah, there are some, I suppose. But like, in general, cockroaches going to be fine.
I just had this vision, Matt, of the old cybernetic Orkin man laying in his med bed or his hyperbaric chamber. And as soon as we said cockroaches are having a good day, his eyes opened and they flashed blue lasers. So anyway, shout out to you guys. Yeah, they'll flourish, these animals that are already acquainted with the ways of humans. They'll flourish in the wreckage of those old cities as those cities crumble. And indeed, they may evolve into entirely new species as time passes. I think it applies to plants as well. I'm super interested in this.
What about all the creatures of the sea, Ben?
Yeah, what are these new rulers going to look like? Yeah, I mean, we know the early days of a post-human world are going to be rough, right? Again, depending on the circumstances of the murder or the extinction. We know that, and I love your point about the sea here, we know that historically the last 5 mass extinction events have, well, any mass extinction, not even the great ones, just like the regional, not as cool ones, they tend to eliminate larger bodied animals.
Makes sense.
I mean, they require more food, they reproduce at a slower rate, they have lower populations or tend to have lower populations. So it's the small guys, it's the meek who eternally inherit the earth.
God, it's so much deeper than I thought it was when I was just, reading my Bible all the time. Like, that makes so much sense.
They nailed that one for sure. Like 10-10, no notes. That one is accurate on so many levels. The new apex predator, post-human, is probably only going to ascend over a long period of time, millions and millions and millions of years for the brute force hack of evolution to hit on another winning lottery ticket.
Well, and what if it's an apex predator like us that isn't a traditional apex predator, where it doesn't use gnashing teeth and tearing claws to become the main hunter predator. It uses its noggin.
Yeah, the rule of the nerds, right? And all the evolutionary drawbacks humans had to agree to for the power to do tools and to teach intergenerationally. Rats are good candidate, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Rats, smart, they eat everything. There's an awesome book that Robert Lamb and I used to talk about pretty often. It's named, in a burst of creativity, Rats. And it's amazing. Their reproductive rate is off the friggin' charts. They metaphorically and figuratively and literally have huge balls. It's possible that, post-human, they would evolve to a larger size. Maybe even one day, far into the future, one rat says, "Why don't I walk on my back legs?
Why don't I teach these turtles how to be ninjas?"
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now I'm in. You sold me. I was on the fence, but now it has to happen. I mean, also, I don't want to be a broken record. Crows, ravens. Yes, obviously. They're little brainiacs. They are also maniacs. They might literally rule the roost. Those are examples from the surface world. This is our setup for the ocean because we learn a rubric, right? The defining traits for the apex main character life form after humans would be something that can make tools, something that can harness natural phenomena, can outcompete rivals, it can breed successfully, and it can adapt to the shipwreck of the Anthropocene, surviving contamination left over from humans. That's one of the big ones.
Oh, yeah. That's major. You can't be a lightweight when it comes to the microplastics. That's important.
Yeah, if you could learn to eat those, by the way, tight.
Oh, yeah.
And hold the phone, evolution. Hold the great game of telephone in our increasingly bizarre and fascinating exploration. Matt, Dylan, you and I were talking off air, and this has to be a two-parter.
Yeah, there's no way. Truth be told, we just kind of kept talking and then looked at the time and said, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah, we also totally flaked out of some other stuff we were supposed to do and just said, "Let's keep going."
Marketing can wait, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Marketing, thank you so much for everything
They're great.
you do.
You guys
Seriously.
are great. Shout out David. Shout out Ashley.
Seriously, if nobody knew that we were talking into mics, then nobody would know we're talking into mics.
Yeah, I don't think we would know. I don't know how plugged in we are anymore.
I'm just in my house right now, okay?
It's just never reveal the specific location, Matt. It's also funny because when we get on this kind of train of thought, even if we go and hang out in person for something totally different, even if we're at like Dave & Buster's, the conversation will continue in such a way that I hope is endearing to other people, but might make us seem a little strange.
Yeah. Why don't you find us and tell us all about what you think? We're all over social media.
Mm-hmm. We're all over social media. Do some digging. You will find us on your platform of choice. You can also give us a call on a telephonic device.
Yes. Our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. Give us a call, leave a voicemail, give yourself a cool nickname. That's all you need to know. You got 3 minutes. Say whatever you want to say. If you want to reach out to us via email, you can do that too. We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. You want a cool random fact? Hit us up. You want our opinions on the Funkin' Lodge? That's a reference that'll make sense in part 2. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.